This episode is sponsored by Netmarble. Welcome everybody to the ultimate My Hero Academia Dream Team. My name is Misty / Chronexia, and just like everyone else, I'm thoroughly enjoying My Hero Academia. But as I looked at Class 1A, I was thinking to myself, what would be those characters' specialty once they go pro? Some are pretty obvious in the nature of their skills, but others, not so much. So I've come up with 4 categories of superhero specialties, and I'm going to sort every student accordingly. Here's a few rules first. Number 1, everyone needs to be classed up. Number 2, no one can be duplicate. You can't put Deku in every rank cause you like him, and vice versa, you can't leave Mineta out cause you hate his grapey ass. I said grapey with a G. So 4 categories, 20 students, that's effectively 5 students per specialty. But before we go any further, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Netmarble is a company that just released a game on Android and iOS called Chronicle. It's a JRPG anime-like game, free to play and incredibly addictive. It has a rich story, a character collecting gacha system that I really dig, and an easy to follow gameplay. The game does an incredible job at walking through all the cool mechanics without it feeling like they're cramming your head with stuff. You first start by making a 5-man team. Hey, look at that, is the theme of this video. And you go into battle with them. You take on various enemies with your spells and ability. Each characters have one ultra move that kicks in with cinematics and everything. It looks really cool. You gather material to level up your crew, and thank the heavens, it actually feels like you're progressing when you do. I've only played 6 hours so far, and I already have 2 super rare characters. They're the 6-star heroes. Yeah, shut up, let me brag, I like him. Anyway, if you feel like trying out the game, check out the link in the description. Again, it's a free to play, loads of fun, and super addictive. But now, let's get back to the My Hero Academia Dream Teams. Earlier in this video, I've mentioned 4 categories. Let me tell you what they are. The first specialty would be Intel / Recon / Stealth. You know, the heroes that sneak in to gather info, set up the floor for the other to swoop in and do the heavy lifting, and vanish without a trace of ever being there. Specialty number 2, probably the most obvious one, the Assault heroes, straight up devastation. They go in to subdue villains and don't care for collateral damage. If push comes to shove and a villain needs to be taken down, the Assault team is the one you want. Specialty number 3, the Rescue Heroes. Their purpose is not to engage battle, but rescue and escort civilians to safety. Sometimes there's no villain to take out, it's just environmental catastrophe to handle. These guys are the Rescue Rangers. And finally, my 4th category is one I'm calling the Jack of all trade. While they don't particularly exceed in one specialty, they still manage to cover the ground of everything. Let's start off with the Recon Stealth heroes, and my first pick for the job goes out to Jito. Earphone Jack is an incredible asset to have on your team. You can listen through the walls, take the pulse of battle, and turn it around. Plus, if things do get rough, she can make a break for it. She has great incapacitating abilities. She can shatter the ground to make her getaways simpler. The second on the team would be Agakure, Invisible Girl. I think this is probably the most fitting category for her. She's invisible. Great to sneak in enemy ranks undetected, gather intel, and get out unnoticed. But just as her recon skill is maxed, I feel like she wouldn't bring much to anything else. Her power matched the one of a teenage girl. When people can lift buildings, she's not much of a threat in battle. Same for rescue. I mean, try to grab the hand of someone invisible. Feel like that would be more of a hindrance than anything else. Next for recon, I would put Koda. He's a pretty quiet character, very little screen time, but just like Invisible Girl, he's one that shines a lot in the Recon category. His skills let him speak to animals, so he just asks a rabbit to overhear a conversation and GG. Who's ever gonna suspect a squirrel? Seriously, unless the crime has been not stealing, I don't know. And reversibly, for rescue purposes, what's he gonna do in a scenic city where buildings are crumbling? Call bears to support pillars? His power only works for animal and voices reach. You see a lot of bear in freaking New York. Assault? I mean, shy of sending ants on people, what's he gonna do? If he had a tiger or a hawk or any kind of pet he could command in battle, that'd be different, but for now I'll leave him in intel. My next pick for Stealth is probably not something people will agree with. I know her personality doesn't make her look like the type to be silent and stealthy, but hear out my argument first. Ishido. Yes, she's loud. Yes, she seems more battle-oriented. But at the same time, her moves are really prone for stealth. She can melt concrete walls to sneak into enemy bases. She can soundlessly slips on her juice, and her loudness also makes for a great decoy. If they need to have someone take the heat, I think Ashido is the best to make a hit-and-run approach. Her initiative is probably one of the best. Now, if you thought this was a wild pick, just you wait about this final one. Mineta. Yeah, I know it's insane, but think about it. First of all, his size is perfect to sneak in vents and crawl out of sight. Secondly, if you need to set up something, what's the stickiest thing available? Yeah, his hair. You want to plant C4 bombs? You want to set up cameras? You just want to sneak in to immobilize the enemy and have the jumps on them? Seems fitting if you ask me. What would be his alternative anyway? You want Mineta in the assault team? Even as a jack of all trades, his power is laughable. And rescue-wise, I mean sure he's decent, but there's a lot of better heroes in that class. Since we gotta rank everyone, I think this was his best vocation. Plus, if you ask him to sneak into the girls' locker room, would you really think he'd turn down the job? Now let's move on to the assault team. Again, for the sake of this video, we do not care about collateral damage. We assume in the utmost setting, it's a barren wasteland with no restrictions whatsoever. I think some of these selection goes without saying. Bakugo. I mean, it has his name written all over it. Every episode he goes on about how he wants to take down the villains, and he shows on multiple occasions his lack of interest in rescuing over fighting. And let's be honest, the guy can hardly ever shut up. Both his personality and skills has nothing to do with stealth or recon. And he's also very cocky. If he was deployed to recon, he'd engage the enemies regardless of the order not to. Bakugo is assault, no doubt. Also in the assault team, I would put Todoroki. I gotta say, I also think he belongs here. His power is too big. He frees an entire stadium, makes a firestorm the size of Texas. This would hardly goes unnoticed. While he does have a cooler head than Bakugo, he still prefers to battle in a fight-or-flight situation. I'm not saying he can't rescue, I'm sure he'd do a cool ice ramp freeze burning building, but again, assault is just too fitting to not put him in. Another one that I think fits the tag is Tokoyami. Dark Shadow's raw power is a great destructive force, even more so if you're in complete dark. Just like Todoroki and Bakugo, his strength just outshine either recon or rescue too much to not put him in the SWAT team. My fourth pick would go to Kaminari. Just for the same reason as the rest, I simply don't see Kaminari that useful outside of combat as the other students. His electricity is quite flashy, so stealth isn't really a given, and as for rescue, it seems more detrimental than anything else. Kaminari is a good burst hero. Despite needing to use caution to not overload himself, he's quite good in battle with overall excellent AoE too. And finally, the last pick I would put in the assault team is Aoyama. Honestly, he just didn't fit in any other categories. He does great damage, he can destroy a robot made of steel with his laser beam. Trained up, I'm sure he'd reach a point where the drawback will be minimal and the damage could be strong enough to burst through anything, but beside destructions, it doesn't seem very useful. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this one. Now let's talk about the rescue team. They're the one who can extract hostages from pinched situation and protect them. They're the heroes who can act under catastrophic events like the aftermath of an earthquake, for example, or a tsunami. My first pick for the class would go to Ochako Gravity. How can she not? She's the ultimate rescue operation by herself. Rocks falling, zero gravity. People stuck out of reach, zero gravity. She needs to jump off the roof of a burning building, zero gravity. The move is so versatile, it works in absolutely every scenario. Even if there's villain around, she can dispatch them easily. She would be worth the jack of all trade tag, but I feel like she wouldn't do so well extracting information, and the raw damage output she can muster requires third parties like rocks laying on the ground or stuff like that. In a barren wasteland, she couldn't do much except float away. The next rescue ranger I would put is Ojiro. Ojiro I think could work in any category. Despite his excellent fighting skills and strong tail, he still needs to be a close quarter fighter. Don't know if you've noticed, but everyone I put in the assault team is range. Range can work close or far, but a close quarter fighter can only get down one-on-one, making him extremely vulnerable against any range counter. He'd do decent in recon I'm sure, but that's mostly due to his mobility. I've put him in the rescue team because I feel he has a good mindset prone for others. and his tail could allow him to access out of reach places, but honestly, if you'd put him anywhere else, I would also understand. The third one in the Rescue Ranger, I would put Shoji. Doubly arms would be good in stealth, no doubt. Assault? Not so much for me, cause again, that requires some kind of proximity. But since he can somewhat extend his limbs, he could use that to rescue people falling down of a cliff, or he could shelter them the same way he did during the tournament. Seems like he's good at carrying loads on his shoulder without it affecting his mobility. Maybe I'm making up reason, but I could see it working like that. My fourth pick is Zero. I feel like Cellophane is a pretty underrated superhero in Class 1A. To me, he's the Spider-Man of the class. He can swing across the buildings, take rubbles from falling down on pedestrian, pull them out of danger, rings a lot rescue to me. Yeah, he would also be excellent in the jack-of-all-trade category. He was kind of a flex pick, floating selection. I think his skill would be more appreciated by the mass by rescuing civilian than incapacitating enemies or recon. Not saying he wouldn't be good at it, just that he shines more in this. I don't know. Feel free to disagree on this one as well. And my final selection for the Rescue Ranger would be Sato. Not gonna lie, Sato was the hardest one for me to place. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys don't approve of his sorting hat, but I went with an elimination process. Stealth? Not really. He's big and yellow, like a Pikachu on steroids. Kinda stand out in the forest. Now again, he could work in Assault, but since he relies on sugar as soon as he's out, he's completely useless. Plus, it goes back to my range problem. So I figured you give him sugar, send him move some rubbles around, extract civilians, and that kinda remain in his time limit of usefulness, then he can rest and no one's in danger, except for the people he couldn't rescue. But that's another hero's problem at this point. And finally, we have the jacks of all trades, the heroes which excel in all three categories. These I feel are more like the average heroes. Of course, they're not flawless, but their versatility might allow them to slip into different aspects of jobs. Now, if you've been keeping track of the heroes so far, you all kinda know who's gonna be in here, but still let me explain my choice regardless. Midoriya. Deku is a glass cannon, let's not hide it. At the very least, so far in the story, he can never output 100% of his power without having it backfire on him. Sure, he can do some pretty severe damage, but he's a ticking time bomb. Assault-wise, it's about 50-50. Recon, I mean, his suit is green, he knows how to remain stealthy and when not to engage, so again, it's a bit of a 50-50. And for the rescue, he has the mindset of saving people. I mean, his whole goal of becoming a hero is so he can do like All Might and save people. So yeah, I think Deku kinda mediocrely, that's not a word, he excels in all the categories. The number 2 jack of all trade I would put is Asui. Tsuyu-chan is such a well-balanced hero. She got reach with her tongue, a very cool head on her shoulder that can assess the situation on the fly. I get it, fly. It's a frog joke, don't worry about it. And she's a beast underwater, which hasn't proven to be useful right now, but wait till the tsunami hits and she'll be all over that bitch. Great rescue skill, pretty sneaky, and great in combat too. She's an S-rank hero if you ask me. Number 3, I would put Momo. Kreati came up on the list and I was thinking on where she would shine the best, and I didn't have a spot for her in any particular category because she fits them all. I know you're getting tired of me using this word, but she's a very versatile hero. She can create camouflage when doing recon, she can fight fairly easily, especially considering she can create artillery out of her body, and her rescue skill is just as good as the rest. She doesn't outshine anyone in a specific category, but she can do them all to a certain level. A good jack of all trade if you ask me. Number 4, Ida. Ida's a mixed bag, in a good way. Not so much stealthy, but his speed is such an incredible initiator. He could waltz into an enemy camp, lay the first hit before he even get noticed. Assault, I mean, you can't beat what you can't touch. Unless he has a hard counter, he could outrun anything and still have the upper hand. I mean, if Seto is Spider-Man, Ida is the Flash of My Hero Academia. Yeah, I know, DC and Marvel together, right? It's like mixing Coke with Pepsi. Point is, Ida can also rush to save people or alert bigger heroes to take over like he did in Season 1. He's good at everything. And my final selection is Kirishima. Let's be honest, Kirishima can take the heat. of any kind. Put him in Recon, he'll gladly be the decoy. Even if he gets captured, he can get punched until they break their fist on him. He can fight anything, and he's also a good defender. He could protect civilians while they run out to safety or block any crumbling metal from falling on the kids walking to school. Great personality too, just like Froppy, he's an S-rank hero to me. Now, with all that being said, let's do a final team, the ultimate dream team. You can only pick 5, but they gotta be able to solve every mission that would come up. This one has the most bias because a lot of my personal preference would go in. I'm also gonna tell you why I didn't pick other people over them, but yeah, let's do the ultimate team now. First off, out of the Recon group, I want Hagakure, Invisible Girl. Out of all the 5 stealth Recon members, I think she is the best. She's a terrible fighter, don't get me wrong. I don't want her fighting. She can physically be inside the enemy base herself being undetected. That has so much setup potential. Jiro could also be a great pick for the job, but Hagakure can escape more easily if noticed, unless she has a direct counter who can sniff her out. Koda, like I said, has too many restrictions, and Ashido and Mineta are good, but they really don't outshine Hagakure to me. Now, in the assault team, I want Todoroki, Shoto. He's thought out enough to know when to back down and swap plan. He's got a great surface of power, and he showed time and time again how potent of a hero he is. I don't want Bakugo, even if you like him, because while he may be the purest raw power, he's too unstable. He's literally the definition of a loose cannon. His short fuse could be a severe detriment to the rest of the team. Tokoyami, I have to leave on the bench too, until he can master Dark Shadow Dark Form entirely, because the last thing you want in battle is friendly fire to focus on. I really thought about Kaminari, but his lightning has a limit he can use before he becomes incapacitated by it, and just like Tokoyami, after that point, he's a liability. Same with Aoyama and his stomach cramps. In the rescue team, there's only Ochako Uraviti. I desperately want her on my team. I've said it before, I'll say it again, Zero Gravity has such a versatile usage, both in combat and out of combat. Rescuing civilians or hostage, she got it covered. Seto would have been a close second, but Ochako's Zero Gravity can be used as an AoE, while no matter how fast Seto would be, he still is a single target hero. Sato has too much restrictions, he's not even in consideration zone, he has to carry sugar, if he runs out he's useless, and his strength is still on a timer. And Ujiro and Shoji, while good, again, they don't outshine Zero Gravity, it's too good. And finally, in the Jack of all trade, there's 2 persons I want here. Tsuyu Froppy and Kirishima Red Riot. This was the hardest decision I had to settle on. Not cause of Deku. Deku is crap and I don't want him until he can be viable. He has the best ability but too much backfire on it. But Momo had a really good point that I couldn't throw away, and E to speed is a really good perk too. In the end I settled on Kirishima because of one reason. You always need a tank. No matter the mission, you need someone who can take hits in the face. And Froppy is the hero, at least to my knowledge, that has the best cooperativeness. I wouldn't make her the squad leader in a heartbeat. Plus, you know, Earth is like 75% water, where she absolutely kicks butts in. I promise you this is gonna come into play at some point. So to reiterate, my Hero Academia dream team is Froppy as the squad leader, Uraviti, Red Riot, Shota, and Invisible Girl. So yeah, that's my lineup. You don't have to agree with it. What about you? Put it in the comment section down below. Do you have a different Vanguard in mind? Did you enjoy this video? If you did, then give me a thumbs up and subscribe. We could do another one with like villains, or pro heroes, or the UA teacher, class 1B for example. Don't forget to check out Knight's Chronicle on Android or iOS with the link in the description. The game is free to play and sincerely it's loads of fun. If you like JRPG games that you can come back to every now and again, it's an absolute delight. Or you know, if you feel like spending the next week all on it, there's over 200 hours worth of gameplay, if not more. I absolutely plan to keep on playing. Thanks for watching, hope you have a fun time, and I'll catch you guys next time.
To the hard times, I've been on the wrong side, I've been ashamed. So many memories, you know I'd like to change.